The deepest corners of the wilderness harbor entities that simply don't want to be found. From the violent night-long siege at Ape Canyon to a mysterious figure signaling to something unseen in the woods, these sightings defy every logical explanation. If you caught a glimpse of the unexplained, would you be brave enough to keep recording? On November 15th, 2024, a post surfaced in a Rocky Mountain Sasquatch group recounting a terrifying Bigfoot claim from 3 years prior. The event took place at a mobile home park close to Mount Shasta, California, where the witness said a Bigfoot rattled her trailer, growled outside the window, and struck the walls over 2 consecutive nights. Afterward, when she went outside, she noticed glowing eyes staring at her from the dark. Later, her companion observed a tall, shadowy figure moving nearby. Some suggested it might have been a bear, but the low growl and the silhouette didn't match typical bear behavior. The area is known for strange sounds, and Mount Shasta has a long record of Bigfoot reports. Could this have been a real encounter? While exploring the new River Gorge in West Virginia, Owen encountered a massive rock formation that from a distance resembled a man-made structure more than a natural mountain. It blended with the surrounding landscape, but up close its shapes and patterns appeared unusually symmetrical. One area even looked like a giant doorway, carved into the stone. Adding to the mystery were large deep footprints across its surface. Some believe it's the result of natural erosion, while others question whether something enormous once existed there. A camper's trail camera set up deep within a remote forest, far from any nearby town, ended up recording something deeply unsettling. The footage reveals a pale, human-like figure standing completely still and facing the camera while making strange, unnatural sounds. Online reactions were split, with some viewers believing the clip was genuine, while others were convinced it had been staged. This unsettling clip, uploaded on September 30th, 2024, was shared with a caption claiming a Bigfoot had been spotted inside an abandoned building. The footage raises disturbing questions. Why would a creature like that be moving through a deteriorating structure, and could it have been using the place as a hidden shelter? With no additional context, its authenticity can't be verified, yet it remains chilling as possible evidence. One night, a person walking home began hearing unusual sounds near an old fort-like structure in an empty field. While recording as they passed a lone pillar, they spotted a humanoid figure crouched in the darkness. It appeared to cover its face, yet its eyes suddenly fixed on the camera. In that moment of fear, both reacted. The figure seemed ready to leap, and the person panicked, stopped recording, and ran. Whatever it was, or whether it was real, remains uncertain, but facing it alone at night would be terrifying. This man was hiking through the forest when he suddenly encountered something alarming. A massive figure rose above the brush, its outline clearly large, with broad shoulders, long, powerful arms, and a steady, purposeful stride moving through the trees. The sight was unsettling enough to make anyone stop in place. With a figure of that size and posture, many have wondered the same thing. Could this have been a real encounter with something unknown? Back in 2008, a group of campers were filming their boating trip along the Upper Mackenzie River in Oregon. Everything seemed completely normal at the time, but later when they reviewed the footage, they noticed something unsettling hidden in the background, something none of them had seen in person. The video is shaky due to the fast-moving water, but when you pause and look closely at the left side of the frame, a large brown figure can be seen standing among the bushes. What makes it even more disturbing is that this same stretch of river has been the site of several reported Bigfoot sightings over the years. Reddit user Waldenville shared this clip, and what it captures is deeply unsettling. chilling scream echoes through a remote Canadian forest, leaving many viewers wondering if it could be linked to Bigfoot. Whatever made that sound seemed to be concealed somewhere in the shadows of an otherwise calm and quiet wilderness. On November 12th, 2024, an unusual discovery was reported in the dense forests of South Garo Hills, Meghalaya, India. 2 large weathered footprints were found impressed into separate moss-covered rocks along a riverbank. The impressions appeared old, heavily worn, and firmly embedded, suggesting they had remained there for a long time. The find drew attention both locally and internationally, as the prints resembled those associated with the Mundarong, a creature from regional folklore. The Mundarong is described as a large, hairy, bipedal humanoid, similar to Bigfoot, believed to inhabit the subtropical forests of the Garo Hills, where the prints were found. A lone hiker had ventured deep into the wilderness, enjoying the silence and losing track of time. After hours on the trail, he entered a dense patch of pine trees and heard heavy rustling, something large forcing its way through the brush. Assuming it was a big animal, he took out his phone to record, but what appeared on camera was far more disturbing. This was no ordinary creature. What do you think? A group of kids was exploring a quiet forest trail when their outing suddenly turned terrifying.
Run, run, run!
A massive figure emerged at the edge of the trees and charged toward them at full speed without warning and with clear aggression. The footage shows the children panicking as they run, screaming in fear. The creature appears enormous, bipedal, and highly territorial. In that moment, getting away was the only smart decision, because when something that large rushes at you, survival matters far more than capturing the perfect shot. This clip features a 28-year-old man from Pennsylvania who went out for an evening walk with his dog in the Appalachian Mountains. Suddenly, he heard unusual sounds, and his off-leash dog became alarmed and ran into the forest toward the noise. The man searched for 2 hours but couldn't find it, and eventually recorded this video. He made it home safely, but the dog was never recovered. What the footage actually captured remains unclear. Jordan and his friend were exploring an abandoned resort in the Catskills, New York, a place known for ghost sightings and unusual activity. Once inside, the atmosphere immediately felt off.
Hello? Nah. See? Yo, nah. Wait. Look at that.
They noticed what appeared to be a mannequin, but as they moved closer, it seemed to shift slightly. Moments later, distinct footsteps echoed from outside, making it clear they weren't alone. With the resort's dark past and its rumored mafia connections, they quickly chose to leave. Some places carry too much history and too many unanswered questions to risk staying any longer. A Reddit user searching for a cave in a wooded area of Middle Tennessee ended up discovering unusual impressions in the mud. The prints were small, nearly child-sized, with toes pressed deeply into the ground, as if gripping with each step. Many viewers felt they looked far too human to belong to any typical animal. While the find didn't confirm anything, it certainly sparked curiosity, with some even wondering if the prints could belong to a young Bigfoot. A streamer was hiking through the forest with his uncle recording their walk back when his uncle suddenly stopped and pointed out something deep in the trees. The streamer zoomed in and briefly captured an unusual figure partially hidden behind the vegetation.
See it behind that tree right there?
Yeah, I see it.
No, you go get it. Let me keep it on camera.
Wait a minute, hold up. I don't know what the it look like a damn bear. What is that?
I don't know, but it's moving though.
Hell yeah, what is that, man? Look like a damn bear, man.
Man, look at him. See it, boy?
Yeah, I see it. I see it. What the is that?
I tell you, boy.
What is that?
Go take the sarge and look. Look sarge again.
Go get the pistol. Go look under the seat and get look up under my seat.
Which one?
Look up under the pickup seat. Get the pistol.
Come on, the center truck.
Yeah. I don't know what the is, man. Oh my God. This is real, man.
At first they thought it might be a bear, but its posture and movement quickly created doubt. The uncle became tense and wanted the moment documented while he decided what to do. The figure kept shifting its motion, confirming it was alive and aware of them. Unsure of what he was seeing, the streamer hesitated as his uncle urged him to grab a firearm from beneath the vehicle seat. The situation grew even stranger when the figure lifted its hands and moved them in a deliberate, patterned way, almost as if signaling to something unseen in the woods. The moment felt disturbingly real, and both men sensed they were witnessing something far beyond normal expectations. The encounter left them shaken, with no clear understanding of what the camera had captured or what kind of creature could behave that way, raising far more unsettling questions than answers as they tried to process what they had seen. In September 2015, in the small town of Enid, Oklahoma, something unusual began happening at a local car dealership, Green Country Ford. Staff arrived to find vehicles heavily damaged with bumpers and fenders torn off and deep marks pressed into the metal. Clumps of fur and traces of blood were left behind. Police opened an investigation and believed a large white dog was responsible, but it remained unclear what kind of animal could cause that level of destruction. Despite overnight searches using spotlights and patrol units, the animal was never located, and the incidents continued. More vehicles were damaged, and repair costs climbed into the thousands. People began to question what was really behind it. Some focused on the scale and strength of the damage, while others pointed to the repeated visits and timing. Authorities never identified a suspect, the creature was never found, and the true cause of the dealership attacks remains unknown to this day. What do you think was behind it? In the summer of 1924, deep in the shadow of Mount St. Helens, 5 miners believed they were alone in the wilderness. They were mistaken. Fred Beck and his crew had set up camp near a narrow gorge, but soon something frightening unfolded. The men claimed they were attacked not by bears or bandits, but by hairy ape-like figures standing nearly 7 feet tall, with glowing eyes and large feet. The creatures began throwing heavy rocks at the cabin, striking the walls, clawing at the door, and trying to break inside. Trapped and terrified, the miners fired their rifles into the darkness, hoping to drive the attackers away. The siege continued for hours. By morning, the figures disappeared back into the forest. Shaken and exhausted, the men abandoned their camp and fled the mountain, going straight to authorities with a disturbing account. Locals later named the place Ape Canyon, a name that remained, but the questions never faded. Skeptics argued it was a hoax, possibly pranksters or mass hysteria. There were no footprints, no bodies, no proof. Yet, Fred Beck insisted it was real, even later suggesting supernatural involvement. What truly happened that night in Ape Canyon remains unknown. A man driving along a quiet country road in Manitoba, Canada, featured on the channel Don Barnard in a video uploaded on August 16, 2012, noticed a tall, dark shape standing in the grass beside the road. He quickly began recording, believing the large, shadowy figure, tall and bulky, with what appeared to be dark hair, might be Bigfoot. The figure stood near the edge of the open countryside before moving away. Leaving the man convinced he had captured something unusual on camera. The moment passes quickly, but something about the size and stillness stands out. What do you think was actually there? Back in 1969, something unusual began happening along Greer Island near Lakeworth, Texas. Witnesses reported strikingly similar encounters with a tall, hairy figure stepping out of the darkness, its eyes glowing and its presence deeply unsettling, neither fully human nor entirely animal. Some claimed the creature acted aggressively and appeared threatening, while others said it kept its distance, watching silently before fading back into the night without leaving a trace. What continues to fuel the mystery is a single image, the Alan Plaster photo, one of the only pictures ever linked to the legend. To skeptics, it is nothing more than a stage trick or a visual illusion, but to others it stands as evidence that something unexplained once moved along the shores of Lakeworth, and possibly still does. What do you think was really seen there? A video recently surfaced online, and it immediately drew attention. There is almost no information tied to it, no clear source, and no context, making it difficult to determine what is real and what is not. What the footage shows is unsettling. The person recording notices something hidden in the brush and slowly zooms in, trying to understand what they are seeing. Then a face becomes visible, staring back at them, completely still, not moving, not fleeing, just watching. With no clear background or details to confirm what was captured, the moment remains open to interpretation. Yet the stillness and the way it watches back make it difficult to ignore. The lack of movement adds to the tension, leaving the scene unresolved in a way that lingers. What do you think is actually being shown here? The Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization YouTube channel shared details about their video explaining that, on December 20th, 2017, at around 3 p.m. they recorded a series of unusual whooping sounds. A small rock had been thrown shortly before, and a tree knock was heard later.
That's good.
These events took place at Tom Shea's research location in northern Kentucky. The audio was captured by placing a digital recorder with omnidirectional microphones in a tree about 20 feet away. They cooked burnt bacon for about an hour in an attempt to attract a squatch. The recording was later processed by Monongahela to improve clarity. The sequence of sounds and their timing leaves the moment open to interpretation, especially considering how it was recorded. What do you think could have made those noises? This image was captured by a hiker in a quiet forest deep in the woods. At first, nothing seems unusual, just trees, fallen logs, and an empty landscape. But on closer inspection, there appears to be a figure standing among the trees, tall, dark, and upright. The figure is unclear and open to different interpretations, but its shape and position make it difficult to ignore at a glance. What do you think is really standing there? A recent forest recording has drawn attention for capturing what appears to be an encounter between a lone hiker and something unknown. According to the uploader, the hiker noticed movement behind a bush and began filming, expecting a large animal. Instead, a tall, dark, bipedal figure emerged and suddenly charged toward him, forcing him to run and cut off the recording. Because the clip ends abruptly, what happened afterward remains unclear. Some believe it was a territorial reaction, a behavior often mentioned in Bigfoot reports, while others think it may have been a warning. Was this a true encounter with a protective creature or something else entirely? A quiet night in the Sierra wilderness turned frightening on July 8th, 2012. When a group's truck broke down near Clipper Mills, California. Stranded with their boat, they prepared to camp until morning. But once darkness settled, an unsettling silence took over the forest until around 10 p.m. when chilling screams echoed through the trees. The sounds grew louder and more disturbing, leaving the group shaken as they realized they might not be alone. In 2005, a hiker on Silverstar Mountain in southwest Washington captured a strange figure while taking simple landscape photos. Far below, a lone silhouette moved across deep snow with no gear, no visible trail, and unusually long strides. When the images were later zoomed in, the figure appeared thick-bodied and upright, sparking years of debate. Was it just another distant hiker or something that doesn't match a normal person? What do you think this hiker actually photographed that day? Investigators travel into the remote forest near Grizzly Ridge to search for signs of Bigfoot, documenting anything that might suggest the creature's presence.
Coming together up like that.
Being that I've seen a ton of these, clearly these are Montana Bigfoot on vacation.
Deep in the wilderness, they discover several large log formations arranged in ways that appear intentional, leading to speculation about possible shelters.
This one looks like a juvenile just because of its width. It's not as wide as an adult, but it's close to 15 inches in length.
Nearby, they measure footprints of different sizes, noting smaller impressions that resemble juvenile tracks, and larger ones that could match an adult. One especially massive print beside a suspicious structure intensifies their search and adds to the mystery surrounding these encounters. Taken together, the findings raise questions. Are these genuine signs of an elusive species or simply natural formations interpreted through expectation? And if something is out there, how close are we to uncovering it? A quiet East Texas forest, a hidden trail camera, and then something unexpected steps into view.
As you can see, it's all black, massive, easily a 9-footer.
A hunter had set up the camera to track wildlife, and for days it captured nothing unusual.
See it?
Until a massive all-black figure appeared just feet from the lens. Standing upright with thick dark fur, it almost resembles a gorilla, but when its face turns toward the camera, it suggests something else. The footage doesn't match any known animal, leaving many to wonder if this is one of the clearest Bigfoot sightings ever recorded. In the quiet of the forest, something unexpected sits among the trees, unaware it's being filmed.
The creature came and sat down right in front of the camera.
Captured in broad daylight at an undisclosed location in 2024, the footage shows a large dark-furred figure resting motionless in the brush. Its face appears human-like, yet distinctly primate, prompting the filmer to remain silent and keep their distance. The figure shifts slightly, but never seems to notice the camera. Many say this could be one of the clearest Bigfoot sightings ever recorded, but is it genuine evidence or just a convincing hoax? What do you think? After 2 weeks of nonstop monitoring in a remote wilderness, the team finally spotted something unusual. A thick-furred creature unlike anything they had seen. Its long-limbed, stout build, and almost human-like stare raised immediate questions. The footage shows it gathering branches and debris for an unknown purpose before disappearing back into the forest, leaving only mystery behind. In the bright daylight of the Queensland bush, a group of hikers explores an isolated forest near a torn, abandoned campsite.
A rock to the left in front of an old tent. The first part of the video, you will see the large black mass just left of the rock as we approach it. And then
just to the left of a rock by an old tent, a large dark mass briefly appears as they pass. Deeper among the trees, faint movement reveals a shadowy figure slipping between the trunks, its heavy frame blending into the forest. Later, while casually filming near the damaged tent, the camera unknowingly captures a towering shape behind the trees. When zoomed in, what some suspect to be a yowie appears to be watching from a distance. Could this be Australia's elusive forest creature? That's it for tonight. Which moment creep? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story, share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.